Hi, Dean here with Mad Max RT. I wanted to do a video response to Ryan over at Rydin N Style, who did a fantastic topic he came up with yesterday, which is can you ever have enough horsepower? And then he was also talking about should he pro charge or put a blower on his charger, which I thought was a fascinating concept because it's something I've been thinking about a lot, both things actually. Can you ever have enough horsepower? I think for any healthy car enthusiast, the answer certainly is no. But I think that within that there's a huge scale. Just like there's people that are addicted to porn or to compulsive gambling, you can become overly addicted, let's say, to horsepower. And I'm one of those people at one time. I tapered off my excessive spending from what I used to do with cars. I used to put everything into the motors and trannies and try to shave a second off your quarter mile times. And sometimes that would cost you $10,000, $15,000 to do that. And you build a killer motor and then you're blowing out trannies and rear ends. And so it's an endless tapeworm of money. It's a conveyor belt of money going out. And sometimes the return on your investment for that extra power is crazy, which is one of the reasons why I love these new Dodge Chargers and Challengers, whether you get a brand new one or one that's in 2012 or 13 or 14 like mine, is that the cars are pretty much already there. You get something that's 372 horsepower or it's 485 horsepower if you get one of the SRTs or Scat Packs. And it's like right out of the box, it's perfect. You can still mod it, do your exhaust and cold air induction if you want. You can certainly mod the outside in the way of stripes and graphics and all that, but to me it's a better investment compared to the old school way of doing it, which is starting with a hot rod and then dumping 25 or 50K into it or more to make it stop good, to make it look good, to make the thing perform like a modern car. This is coming from someone that's spent a tremendous amount of money on cars. I could probably have a house in Malibu overlooking the Pacific Ocean for what I've blown on cars. And I think that it gets to the point to where you can spend so much and then it's never enough. It's like an endless cycle. It's like a huge void that you can never fill. And that's kind of I think the challenge with it. Back in 2007, my wife and I, we've never lost anything before. I had spent years building. I had 5 cars at one time, plus a big lifted Bronco with a killer motor and a 351 Windsor in it. And I lost everything in 2007, the economic collapse we had here in America. So I pretty much lost the house. Actually, I sold off all the cars for a whole year and kept the house going for like another year, year and a half. But in the end, lost the house anyways. Lost all those muscle cars, including some really fast hot rods. I had a gorgeous 87 El Camino that had a ZZ4 GM crate motor in it with Brodex aluminum heads. This is like a good 420 horsepower car. I had a tremendous amount of fun with it. I was forced to sell it. You could do burnouts to lengthen my street with the thing. It was so much fun. And I've had my share of all the cars, Mopars, Fords, Chevys. So I'm not just someone that's only, Mopar only. I prefer Mopars today. That's my car of choice. But in the past, I had to try everything. I love even AMCs. I mean, I've had everything. So, and the big block SS Chevelles, I've had all that stuff. And it's a blast, and you can never get enough. It becomes an addiction. I think the problem is that you can easily get your car the way you want it, do all the mods, and then after a year, 2 or 3 years, all of a sudden getting kind of jaded and bored with it, and then you see someone else what they have. Now all of a sudden, instead of a Charger, you want a Challenger, or maybe you want a bigger motor, you want that SRT with a bigger engine, the 485 horsepower, and it's like the grass is always greener on the other side, but you still have to mow the grass. That's the problem. And you're going to weigh it out. So because of the reason why I mentioned we lost our cars and everything is because since then I've become a lot more conservative with my money. And so for me to go out and just plop the money down and squeeze into a new Hellcat, which I could probably afford, but it would be draining. I don't have any other car payments. I paid my truck off years ago. We get a really good deal on our 2014 RT because I couldn't spend $44,000. They had a black on black Shaker RT that I drove and absolutely loved it. I wasn't real big on getting another black car. All the other Challengers they had, the SRTs and the RTs, were all like the Go Mango Orange and bright yellow. They had one of those Daytona Chargers, which I absolutely love, with a black wraparound stripe on the tail, the bumblebee stripe that said Daytona on it. I really was tempted to get it. I love the Chargers. I like them both. But in the end, I said, you know what, I'm going to get what I can afford. They wanted $32,000 for a car with only 14,000 miles. It was in immaculate condition. I walked away. They wouldn't give me the deal I wanted. They wanted too much down. I thought they were asking a little too much for it. So I walked away. I took my Ram in to have it serviced. Ironically, a few weeks later, they thought I was coming back to buy the car. And I said, and this was on New Year's Day, I wanted to get my truck serviced one last time so I could write it off of my taxes. So I'm in there just to get my truck done. They saw me coming, and they said, look, we'll make you a great deal on that car, Dean, if you want that car. And I wanted something that's a little more stealthy. We have an enormous police presence up here in the state capitol in Sacramento. So because of that, it's really, you got to really watch. There's cops everywhere, undercover cops, state workers, CHP everywhere going to and from work in the personal cars. It's very easy to get over your head with too much power. So that's a consideration. So I went with a more stealthy, the crystal granite metallic. So at the Dodge dealership, all the new cars, which we almost got, I was so close to getting one. I didn't want another black car because it's too much upkeep. I'm real anal retentive about scratches and swirl marks. And I love black cars, but I can't go through the rubbing them out constantly and all the detailing. It's a lot of stress. So I wanted something that looked a little bit, that was kind of dark and subtle, and that's why we get the crystal granite metallic. So, but anyway, we got a good deal. Instead of $32,000, they made me an offer of $28,000. It had the, it also had the stripes on it that had the blacktop edition stripes, which I didn't really like the stripes, those particular ones. So I said, if you take the stripes off and cut and polish the entire car, I'll buy the car. $50 down, I drove off the lot with it. We get a killer deal. The payments are very low on it, and I'm real happy with it. So for me, I have something that I like, but I know many of you are younger and you've never had those fast cars. So I understand the appetite. Certainly, it's nice to have more, but my advice is get something within your means and you probably just buy. I mean, it's nice to get the Pro Charger. And believe me, my truck, I'm very tempted to do it. It would really wake that truck up. I've got close to 400 horsepower with my Ram now. I got a really killer, really stout cold air induction kit on it with a really awesome exhaust system. It sounds super loud. It runs great. This thing does enormous burnouts, even probably better than my Challenger. And I think a blower would be a lot of fun with it, but it's got a lifetime warranty, which is, I hate to violate that. The minute I put a new PCM in it, or go nuts by modding it, or I think I'm going to have problems and I'll lose that lifetime warranty. And so down the road, because I have the earlier Hemi and it doesn't have the variable valve timing like the new ones, that way if I need a valve job, it's covered. It's only got 77,000 miles on it. So because of that, I don't know that I want to go nuts but you know, here in California too, you can't have headers and anything before the cats. You cannot touch the cats, catalytic converters. You can't put headers on. In some cases, you can get some certified legal headers, but I've been through it and it's an enormous hassle. So I hate the state for that reason. I've actually lost, I had to sell my El Camino because I wouldn't pass smog. I had headers on it and, you know, changed the carburetor, a lot of the stuff, and because it's not factory, it has to be 1975 or below if you want to mod it. So because of that, I prefer to keep our Challengers and Chargers pretty much the way they are. I think you can do a drop in a cold air induction kit or a drop in K&N filter, and I think you're fine. You can certainly do a catback exhaust and have fun with it. But with the expense it takes, every time you add a blower or something on, and some of the guys in our community will tell you, it opens up a can of worms. Now you get more problems with with tuning it properly, problems that you could end up having with the transmission of the rear end. With that much more power, so you know, like my truck would go up to 525 horsepower from close to 400 now. Something's going to give. Something's going to give under that extra power. So my advice is just buy the Scat Pack or trade your car. If you feel you have to have it, you've got to be aware also of the danger. Sometimes you get out of control. I had a beautiful 1970 RT Challenger with a 440 Magnum. The thing would do hellacious burnouts. I got in a drag race early in the morning on the way to work when it was pitch black out, lost control down at Hermosa Beach, launched it over a curb at like 70 miles an hour and totaled it. I mean, just destroyed a car. I could retire for what that car is worth today. And it crushed my spirit inside to see that car, to even remember that, because it was a gorgeous car and I loved it. But frankly, my RT actually outperforms it in almost every category with just the mild 5.7. So to me, I'm satisfied. I think a part of it is you get a little older, you can become satisfied and content with what you have. I'm certainly content with the power that I have. Would I like more power? Of course. You know, now my wife is thinking, she loves the car so much and she'd kind of like to get around. So who knows, we might get an SRT one for the next car. But you just have to be aware of how dangerous it can be if you really stand on it a lot like I do. And depending on road conditions, you can get out of control. You could hit someone else or hurt yourself in the process. That's a consideration. Up here where we live, the cops, my God, you really got to be careful. I'll get on it a little bit around areas that I'm very familiar with, or getting on the freeway, I'll stand on it, get up to 100 real quick, and then immediately back down to 80. Because, I mean, you will get a ticket. When I moved up here years ago, I got like four tickets in 4 months. I never would get tickets. In LA, I could drive my old vet at well over 150 miles an hour every day. Never a ticket. Never once got pulled over. I moved up here with my truck, and in fact, I almost had the truck impounded. I did a big fat burnout around a Prius. CHP came out of nowhere, got right up behind me, put his siren on, and I got nailed. So, and he said, you know, I can take your truck right now and you can go to jail. And whatever I said, I must have said the right thing because I had him laughing. He saw what happened with the Prius and he understood why I got frustrated. In the end, just wrote me up for an unsafe start, which was a $550 ticket. But I got let go and I got to keep my truck. So because of that, I've kind of tempered my enthusiasm behind, with my heavy foot. You just have to be careful. So as long as you're prepared, the same thing with a Hellcat. I mean, you could literally go to jail with that thing. So you got to weigh all that stuff out. I mean, people don't think about that. They just see, oh, I could make the payment, but they don't weigh out the insurance factor. They don't weigh out, how much it's going to cost you in the long run. By the time you're done paying with the interest rates and the payments over 4, 5, or 6 years, I mean, you could be paying a lot of money for that Hellcat or that SRT. So those are all factors to consider. But anyway, that's my video response. Believe me, I'd love a blower. Because I have a rare lifetime warranty on the truck, what I might do is put a few more miles on the Challenger. Maybe I'll put a small blower with just kind of a low boost, just enough to kind of bring it up another 75 or 100 horsepower. Would be more than enough for me. The tranny should be able to take it, and it'd be a lot of fun. It'd probably cost me, $4 grand for the blower, but I don't know much about the tuning with these newer cars, so I'd have to have a shop kind of do that, hook up a PCM that correlates properly with that, make sure my gears, everything is dialed in to where it's trouble-free. That's kind of where I'm at now. As I'm older, I don't have the ability with my bad back to kind of crawl under and over cars and working on them all the time. So I like these new cars. They're right out of the box. They're fast. They look great. They got the nice retro styling, and you have a ball with them. So anyway, Ryan, that's my video response. I hope you guys like this. I'll have more to come soon. Thanks for watching Mad Max RT. I appreciate it.